So, does anybody know what holiday is coming up really soon? Yeah. Halloween is coming up. Is that something that we really celebrate much in the church? Not a whole lot. But do you guys already know what you want to be for Halloween? Like, what are you going to dress up as? Yeah, what are you going to dress up as? A fox. All right. How about you? Spider-Man. And yeah? You're going to be a fairy? And how about you? A cheerleader. So why do you guys want to dress up the way that you're going to dress up? Like, why would you want to be a fox? Do you know? Sorry, I didn't quite catch it. I wasn't raising my hand. I'm sorry for calling on you. Why would you like to be Spider-Man? For fun. What about Spider-Man is fun? It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. And how about you? Yeah. So it's the spooky and playfulness, and we do fun by dressing up, and you can look pretty as a fairy, right? And how about you, Ellie? Did you have something? Why would you want to dress up what you're going to dress up as? That's okay. We can. So I want to ask you a question here, and we're going to look at some pictures, and you guys tell me what are these people? So everybody can try to see. It's pretty far off, but I think most of us can see. Who are they? How did you know that? Because they're dressed up like them, right? Yeah, they're dressed up. Well, we think they're firefighters. They might be dressed up for Halloween, but how about this guy? What does he do? Writes tickets. Yeah. He's a police officer, and how do you know that? He's dressed like one. That's good. Okay. I got to get this one in just because we got a good series going on between the Nationals and the Astros. So, what's this guy? Yeah? A soccer player? He's definitely a sports player. He's an athlete. But he's a what? A baseball player, right. So how do we know all of these things about these people just from what they wear? What do we call the things that they're wearing? Yeah. They're uniforms. Now, you guys also like to dress up. Are there things that you like to come to church? What would you generally dress like? Would you come to church in, let's see, dirty clothes, like just completely messy? Now, you would, of course, be welcome. If that's all you had, no problem. You can be in here. But is that what we plan to do? We like to dress up for church, right? I'm wearing a uniform as well. This is my uniform. And that's so people know, well, this is my job. So we wear clothes for certain reasons, and some clothes are better for some things than they are for others. So, for instance, do you think a ballerina would do really well if they wore fireman's gear? It'd be pretty hard to dance like a ballerina if you were wearing all of this heavy fire gear, wouldn't it be? So our clothes mean something, and they also express something about ourselves, don't they? Why do some people dress one way and other people dress another way? Because it's who we are. That's a good answer. We're going to read a story that talks about something, a really important garment that somebody wasn't wearing and got into trouble. This is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22. From the beginning it says, "And Jesus answered and spoke to them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who arranged a marriage for his son. And he sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding, and they were not willing to come. Again, he sent his servants, saying, "Tell those who are invited, 'See, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fatted cattle are killed, and all of the things are ready. Come to the wedding.' But they made light of it and went their way, one to his own farm and another to his business, and the rest seized his servants and treated them spitefully, and they killed them. But when the king heard about it, he was furious, and he sent out his armies, and he destroyed those murderers and burned up their cities. And he said to his servants, 'The wedding is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore go into the highways, and as many as you find, invite them to the wedding.' So the servants went out into the highways and gathered together all whom they found, both good and bad, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he saw a man there who did not put on a wedding garment. So he said to him, 'Friend, how did you come in without a wedding garment?' And he was speechless. Then the king said to his servants, 'Bind him hand and foot and take him away and cast him into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" So what was the man supposed to be wearing? Did you hear what he was supposed to be wearing? Yeah? A wedding garment or wedding clothes, right? Seems kind of mean, though, that this person comes to the wedding and did the king really think it was that important he had to wear wedding garments? If not, he said, "Cast him into outer darkness." He's saying, "Get out of here." It actually is a word that is talking about hell. So it sounds really bad. Get rid of him into the worst place possible. Just because he wasn't wearing the right clothes? That's something strange there, isn't it? Did you know that in heaven, we don't have to go into our closet necessarily and pick out our clothes, but that we automatically are wearing the right clothes for every circumstance that we're in? It's true. If you wanted to go dance, you would actually have your dancing clothes on. And in heaven, all of our clothes are actually what we feel like on the inside, what we think about. And little children, they have clothes too. And when they're good, they have really nice and clean clothes. But when they actually start thinking naughty ideas or start wanting to do something that's wrong, their clothes actually look like they're covered in soil and soot. And so they start noticing, "Oh, my clothes are gross." It's because of what they're thinking. So our clothes actually have to do with what we think and what we feel. You said that, well, it expresses who we are, right? What we wear. And that's the same thing in the other world, except for their inside thoughts are automatically expressed to everybody around them and to ourselves. So why do you think the Lord would have it so that children growing up in heaven would get these little splotches if they start thinking bad thoughts? Would you like to answer? You don't know? That's okay. Yeah? It's Yeah, that's right. So if you notice you got these black splotches on your clothes, you go, "Oh, maybe I was thinking something bad," and it motivates us to be good. That's exactly right. So our clothes there actually show us what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and it can actually help us to turn around and do something good. So let's get back to our story here. If our clothes in heaven kind of are what we think and feel on the inside, and this person wasn't wearing a wedding garment, the wedding is actually what we talk about as heaven. The Lord talks about heaven being like a wedding. And so if you come in there and you're not wearing clothes that fit heaven, it means that we're not thinking heavenly thoughts. We're not loving other people when we're not loving the Lord. So in this story, the fact that he wasn't wearing a wedding garment showed that he didn't want to be in heaven. Isn't that an interesting story? The Lord tells us lots of these stories that we call parables. And parables are stories that tell us deeper things about what heaven is like, about what we think and what we feel, and how the Lord treats us and how we should treat him, and sometimes how we treat him poorly. So these stories are really, really important for us. And just, the Lord's not being mean by saying, cast that person out because he wasn't wearing the right clothes. That person didn't want to actually be a part of heaven. And so his clothes didn't match. And that's what that story is all about. Do you guys have any questions? All right. Amen.